and you own the solar assets immediately. So typically within the market, we've seen that this, in terms of the contract duration, is about 2 to 3 years there. And the things that you pay for include the solar system, the engineering, the procurement, the construction. And then the assets are passed to you, they're yours. And the next business model that we've seen that has become very popular in the last few years, the last 2 to 3 years, is the power purchase agreement, where we see both the PPA and the leasing as prominent models. And here, a third party invests in the solar assets. And the typical contract duration previously was between 15 to 25 years, but from this year, we've seen some people do between 5, 10 to 20 years. And the payment components here, to you as an off-taker, if you own the factory, you'll be paying the third party for the solar system, for the O&M cost, for the management cost, financing cost, and the margins that they add to this. And within these contracts, we also see that people allow you to buy these systems whenever you're ready. So you can append a clause in the contract to buy the systems, maybe year 2, year 3, year 5, depending on your availability of funds on your side. Next, please. So as PDP, the Project Development Program from GIZ, our service portfolio to you is first, we want to advise you on what is right for you. And by this, we come to your site and collect data. By data, I mean we start looking at your current and future power needs. You could provide us with the power bills. And we'll also put in a system that can also maybe do a logging for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And then we'll assess your current power cost to see if indeed it makes sense for you to jump into the solar investment. And then we also assess the suitability of your site, including, like I said previously, the roof, the land area, your power reticulation systems within your site, and all these things. And then after all this, we've collected all this data, we go back to our technical department, where we now look at the data collected. We now start designing the system. We get the optimum system size that works for you. You don't have wastage coming out of it, so you make maximum profit. And then we also work on the economic model. This is where you look at the internal rate of returns, like I said, or the paybacks, based on the benchmarks your board looks at in terms of investment. And then business model choice, like, for example, the PPAs, the leases, and the EPC model. And then also the space requirements is very key, because otherwise solar doesn't make sense if you just fit whatever you can on your solar, on your roof. It's more to do with your consumption. So based on consumption, we design the system, we look at what is required, if your roof area or your land area is able to fit, and all this. So we advise on all this. After this is done, we give you the numbers, we give you the feedback. We could at this point tell you it's a good fit or it's not a good fit. And then you can proceed if it's a good fit. And at this point, you can actually ask us to now exit, and you can take it on. But if you still require our assistance, we can go ahead by now articulating, maybe breaking down the technical specification of the components that you may need. And by this, we usually look at the high quality product. And I know people might think that we only look at German products, but if you've seen solar systems around the country, most of them have gone towards Chinese modules. So we know which is quality. We can also advise on that as well. We also help you connect you to access to finance. We have quite a big database of financials. So if that is a challenge to you, we can also do this. We can also connect you to these people. And the other thing is we also help you find suitable implementation partners, both locally and from abroad, German mostly. Here, we usually ask for your mandate before we do this. So we don't go ahead and share your information before you mandate us. So if you want, we can do this. But if you also know people that can actually do the implementation, we are okay with you proceeding from there. Next, please. So in terms of our assistance to you, there are things we need that we do from our side, and there are things we require from your side. But most importantly, we require your time when we are collecting all this data. So from the estimate point, the initial stage, we are usually trying to determine if the renewable energy system makes sense. And that is by looking at your power consumption profiles and the regulatory considerations within the country. And from your side, we'll need your power bills for maybe a year to 3 years. And then we'll need data on your roof space. If you have designs, if you don't, you allow us to come and collect this. And then we'll put in a logger that will determine your consumption profile as well to justify what we are seeing from the power bills as well. And we'll need maybe to sit with some of your energy managers to just understand how you do your production, your consumption, your business hours, and all this. The next stage is the detailed data collection stage, and we try to learn more about your load profile. And again, we use our equipment to do this. So what we need is time from you, access to your site, and we carry the load measurements using our equipment, and maybe safety of our equipment while they are at your site. System design, this is done from our side. We use simulation softwares. And here is just to ensure that whatever we are doing is correct, and the numbers we're giving you make sense, as well as we can justify, and you can already see how the investment you're about to make is going to make savings for you. So at this point, we need basically the person who's the focal point from your side, energy managers or your CEO or your chief financial officers. And then the fourth stage is the business case. Here we do the evaluation of the business cases. I know most companies have the benchmarks where you determine if it's a go or a no-go investment, and it could be internal rate of return, it could be payback periods, it could be anything else that you let us know, and we'll work on those numbers and show you how it looks, and then you can make a decision based on that. Then we also determine the CapEx requirements based on the system size that we've by now known. And also we put in front of you the business models that you can choose from. So it would be ideal that at this point we also have an idea of your budget and any limitations that come with it, and your investment benchmarks that you have as a company. At this point we can exit, but again, like I said, we like to walk you until the commissioning stage. So we also have a database of people that we can connect you to do the implementation of the project. So if at this point you want us to exit, fine. But if you want us to proceed, we can help you put together the tender documents, bill of quantities, technology breakdown, and all this. You can also link you the list of qualified suppliers that we have assessed and know that they deliver quality. And then also as well, we can connect you to finance. So at this point, now the decision is left on your board if you can actually go do the investment. The next one. So why work with us? As GIZ, we are not a company. GIZ is owned by tax payers from Germany. So for them, the motivation is actually to see the world go green, sustainably, like has been the theme here. So we offer free, neutral, and transparent advisory to find a system that is the right fit for your needs. We've been doing this for more than 10 years, and now it's actually going to 12 years, especially in Kenya. And we have a bigger access to qualified component suppliers, engineering companies, and contractors that can deliver your project. And just repeat again, our services are at no cost to you. All we need is your time and patience while we are collecting the data and designing the system. Next, please. So our work, like I said, the focus has been towards solar energy for the private sector for the last 3 years. And since this period, we've seen progress. And out of our work, we've done, now we are doing about 5 projects, but what I have here is about 3. We've done for Simbi Roses in Thika. It was a 150 kilowatt out of our work. And then we've done a Swiss Spot at the airport. It's a 110 kilowatt. And currently we are doing about a megawatt, but the first stage is 720 kilowatt at Githunguri Dairy Farmers, the manufacturers of fresher milk. So in terms of the project period, this is typically how we see it, but most of this is influenced by the decision making coming from the companies that we refer to as off-takers. So from the initial stage to site design, business case evaluation, it takes about 3 months. But we typically see that from here to the construction and commissioning is where we see a lot of time taken because of the decisions that are to be made by the board and financing access, which is most of the time is a challenge. So project start to completion is typically we see it take a year. something like this. Next, please. Yes, so those are our contacts. We are 2 in the country, myself, Edwin Ongeri, and my colleague, Brian Mulu. If you have a factory that is ready to go towards solar, you can take our contacts. We also have an exhibition booth somewhere here. You can also reach us. We are here till Sundays, so we'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you very much for your time.
Another round of applause for Edwin tafadhali. Asante sana for that. Of course, we're inching closer to our panel discussion this morning. At this point in time, I'd like to open the floor and bring in Innocent Onserio. He's the manager, Center for Growth and Climate Change, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, to give us opening remarks as we get into our panel discussion this afternoon. A round of applause for Innocent tafadhali as he gets on stage.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you all for coming to this session, where we are getting to showcase the clean technologies, the green technologies, and of course the modern energy solutions for specifically for manufacturing and of course for the other value-add industries. This event has been organized by the Center for Energy Efficiency and Conservation, which was started way back in 2006. And is actually the model public-private partnership, which is with the Ministry of Energy. And I think for those of us who are here in the morning, you heard the CS speak about it, that partnership, and of course, even our CEO and the chair. So since 2006, we've done quite a lot of work. The first activities we were engaged in were energy audits, and we've conducted over 1,500 energy audits. Just to put this in perspective, in the whole country, all the audits conducted around 2,000. So we've done quite the majority. The center has also conducted a number of water audits. I think the number as we speak stands at around 31 water and wastewater audits, water efficiency audits. We also do carry out renewable energy feasibility studies. Of course, that could also include the pre-feasibility studies for some technologies like small hydro. And for those of you who are keen on the energy space, we do organize and carry out the Energy Management Awards. Actually, this is a national award carried out with the government, our private partners, the donors, and of course, like GIZ, who have just spoken, are part of the sponsors for such sessions. And we get a lot of support from the Ministry of Energy to carry out those activities. Now, after doing all that work, we usually do follow-up visits to the various facilities. Of course, the reason for doing the follow-up visits is to check that the recommendations are actually being implemented. And the follow-up visits are twofold. One, we do carry them out directly as the Secretariat. That's done normally after, say, 1 year after the audit is conducted. We also do impact assessment studies. And for the last assessment we did, that was in 2020, the report indicates that if you invest 1 shilling to do an energy audit, you are able to get up to 10 shillings in terms of return. Even from the finance experts, I'm an energy expert myself, of course also with activities like climate change and environment, but finance experts will agree with me that there are very few investments where you put in 1 shilling and get 10 shillings. Very few. Through the reports, the various reports and follow-ups we've done, there are 2 key challenges that are impeding the implementation of the energy audit reports, the water audit reports, and also the renewable energy feasibility studies. So those 2, one of them is technology linkages. And that's precisely the reason we are here today at Kasarani. We're trying to bring on board a number of technology providers in renewable energies who will then get to be matched with the manufacturers who are also exhibiting here. Because in Kenya, you're fully aware that there are quite a number of energy providers. If you want to install solar, there are like 1,000 companies that can install solar for you. How do you get the correct one, the right one? How do you get to pick? So this is actually a good environment where you get to interact with the company representatives, to engage them more before you make the decision. We hope that the decision you make will be the correct one. The second big challenge we have is financial linkages. So most of the facilities will say, fine, we're interested to implement, but we as part of our strategy, we could like to put our money where it matters most, and that could be raw materials, paying the staff, and of course upgrading their facilities. So we as KM are working closely with a number of partners to bridge that gap of financial linkages. Finances are the oil that drives the renewable energy transition, and we hope that through such interactions we'll get to actually get more investment in renewable energy technologies. And as I wrap up, for our panel discussion today, we'll get to discuss matters around carbon footprint assessments and management. We'll also look at air pollution. We'll also get to look at green financing opportunities, renewable energy investments. And those topics of discussions are among our key focus areas as CAM, under the Center for Green Growth and Climate Change, where we want to transition the entire manufacturing value chain to carry out their activities sustainably. With those very many remarks, I would like to welcome our moderator for today to carry on. Thank you.
Asante sana, Innocent. A round of applause for him, please. Thank you so much. Of course, those are opening remarks as we get into our panel discussion this morning. At this point in time, I'd like to call our panelists onto the stage as we do this. I'd like to call on stage Noel Amoit, Enterprise Development Manager, Kenya Climate Services, Finances, Ventures. Is Noel here? No. Oh, I was looking for you, Noel. Welcome on stage, of course. Noel, passionate about increasing opportunities for enterprises in sub-Saharan Africa for sustainable development. She has over 10 years experience, by the way, in SME financing and portfolio management as well. Up this way, ma'am. Right up the stage that way. Thank you so much. She's worked in different sectors, in energy, in agribusiness, financial services, as well as waste management services. And she's here to forward this particular case as far as climate ventures are concerned. And we'll be forwarding a couple of questions to her. If you have some as well, you can keep them ready. We'll be opening the floor to for questions from the plenary in just a bit. We also have Anolda Shiundu, Head of Sustainability and Community Engagement, Kenya Breweries Limited. As she comes on stage, she's responsible for developing and implementing the company's pioneering sustainability agenda, which is also a blueprint for Diageo Africa and Diageo Global. She's also a 4-time winner of the Public Relations Society of Kenya Industry Excellence Awards in different categories of outstanding delivery of effective communication campaigns that have, just gone through the course of her career, including at KBL, and all the steered EABL's inaugural sustainability report earlier this month, of course. That happened right there. I'd also like to call Noel Kode. He's a sector head, Energy and Natural Resources Cooperative Bank of Kenya. As Noel comes on stage, he is a consummate banker, has been in the banking sector for 15 years in both international and local financial institutions. His key roles include advising the bank on strategic direction in the energy sector with key focus on renewable energy, developing relations with various stakeholders within the energy sector, and developing innovative products and services to unlock financing within the sector. So this is a discussion we'll be having this particular morning. I'll be moderating this session as well. And if you have any questions, both in this particular summit area, you can get those questions in. And if you're joining us virtually, you can do that as well. You can do that by using the hashtag right there so you can get a copy of your question and of course note it down to forward it to our panel. Hashtag Tupatane Kasarani, hashtag Changamka Fest 2021. Ladies, gentlemen, good morning. Welcome. Before we start even with our case studies and put our cases forward as far as this is concerned, I just wanted to start with Anolda because we're at a point where when we're talking about CSR, a couple of years back, it was that thing you did just to show that your company is thinking about the environment, but we're more focused on the bottom line. KBL took it a step further and actually put their money where their mouth is and put a report out. What were the insights behind that?
Thank you. So I think, let me just take you a step back. And I'm glad you mentioned the issue of CSR, because I think that's the difference between CSR and sustainability. CSR is more ad hoc, project-based, because it sort of comes at the end and you say it's Christmas time. How can we go and support the communities, right? But then when you talk about sustainability, and which is where we have been lucky as a business, it's a strategy and it's embedded in every single function of the business. And you referenced the resourcing behind it. There's, the sustainability function, there's a clear strategy. We launched our 2030 strategy in November last year. We are 12 months in. We have clear goals on where we want to be as a business in Diageo by 2030. And then it's the investment trickles down to each market. So the investment, it's monetary investment is there in the market, but then also I'd almost say leadership investment, right? Because you need the leaders in the business to drive this, and you need it driven not just from the CEO level, but every function. And I think that's where we've been very successful. It's because sustainability has been cascaded. It's a strategy. If we go to the factory, on the walls when you walk around there, we have the KPIs are put up on the wall. And these numbers are tracked every week, they're tracked every month, every quarter, and it's reported in. So, they're saying if it's not measured, it's not done. So it was that thinking. We've been doing this for a while, and it was time for us to say, let's have our own standalone report. Before, the sustainability was annexed in the annual report. And so we basically came out and said, it's about time we did it on our own.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking more about that particular report and the insights that you gleaned from it as well. But no, let me come to you, because even as we talk about going green and green growth, there needs to be a business case put forward for that particular type of investment. When you're bringing businesses on board, what are you looking at? Because now it's crunching down to the numbers. It needs to make sense financially. What do you look at in a business as you onboard it? I will go, Miss Noel, Mr. Noel.
Okay. Thank you. I'll start off by introducing Kenya Climate Ventures and our work. So Kenya Climate Ventures is an impact investment company, and we provide concessional and tailored local capital to enterprises that are investing in climate smart technologies in Kenya. And so we invest in 5 sectors, renewable energy being one of them, agribusiness, waste management, water management, and commercial forestry. We have a deep bias for early stage companies, because our financing is supposed to de-risk them so that they can be able to attract additional investments, especially from the mainstream commercial investors like the banks and the rest who are looking for higher returns and things like that. So some of the filters that we use, or considerations that we make when we're looking for companies to invest in, is one, the impact that they're going to have. So we're looking at, as this company is implementing its business model, to what extent are they, creating jobs, improving livelihoods by increasing the incomes that are trickling to households and communities? To what extent are they impacting on gender or creating opportunities for women and youth? To what extent are they making a difference in a positive way to the environment? So that is climate mitigation and adaptation. And I like that she talked about sustainability to start with, because commercial filters is also, the other area that we look at, because we believe that for us to be able to sustain impact that we create and to scale it, then we have to, the commercial viability of the business takes center stage. So we are able to look at, the business model, the product or service that the company is providing, does it make sense? To what extent has it been received well in the market? What is the potential of it scaling? What kind of track record does that company already have in the market? And then we are able to know that, okay, if it holds up commercially, then it can sustain the impact that we're looking to create in the market. And then also we have the market filters, so looking at to what extent is this business contributing to changing of markets? Right now, of course, the companies we invest in are working across the country, but we are also really zeroing in on aspects like focus on rural and peri-urban markets, focus on marginalized and humanitarian settings, and also how do we balance, for example, companies that are serving the local market vis-a-vis the export market, because all of these, provide a lot of opportunities for enterprise and for, yeah.
So as Ms. Noel said, you're in the business of de-risking these early startups so that Mr. Noel here can have some appetite to put his money in these startups as well. So when you look at it from a commercial bank point of view, what are some of the hurdles when it comes to green financing?
Thank you for that. Just a quick one. Cooperative Bank is the third largest bank currently in Kenya in asset base, with about a base of 8.8 million clients spread across different sectors. Cooperative Bank made a strategic decision about 4 years ago to change the model of the bank to center on sectors. One of the sectors that was created is energy, and that is what I had. And one of the key things that we've been doing is to try and lock local financing in this space. And that is very key, and even that forms part of what Ambassador Juma was talking about. As much as possible, if we have to see scalability and entrenchment of green energy and sustainable energy in Kenya, the local banks need to play their role. This has to be done by local banks, not by any development partners or money coming from outside of the country. In terms of our relationship and our journey as Cooperative Bank, we were the first bank 10 years ago to take a risk in financing green energy, and this was done in partnership with CAM and AFD, that's the French Development Agency. We created what was called the SANREF program. With this enabled us to, one, de-risk the projects, what Noel is talking about, my namesake. And the other thing, it enabled us give money that was in long term and also at a cheaper rate than the market could give. This enabled actually the access and the starting of financing from the local banks. In terms of what we look at, in terms of when we want to finance, of course, there's the aspect of de-risking. There's also the other aspects that we look at as a commercial bank in terms of payability. And then payability basically is what is your position and what is the health of your company. The other thing that we look about is what kind of equipment are you putting in place? Is that equipment able to optimally work for 7, 8 years to give you value? The other thing that we look at is what savings are you having? If your energy bill is 100,000 and you'll be paying 150,000, that basically means you're not going to go down that route. So is it giving you a form of savings in order to make you move to the next level? And more importantly is that we are able to give you money matched in local currency. And like someone who will come and give you money in USD and expect you to pay a foreign USD linked loan for a period of 10 years. So we match your receivables with the loans that we are giving you at the same time.
Okay, thank you for that. Of course, we'll be coming up with more questions on that. But Arnold, I want to come to you in terms of the sustainability report. Like you said, if it's not measured, it can't be managed. But there are some insights from that particular report. When it comes to the carbon footprint, what did you find in this report? And what were some of the targets that were set and probably met? What targets do we have moving forward now that we have the inaugural report out?
Okay, I think let's start by, we launched our 2030 strategy in November. And so we have clear targets for different functions of the business. The first one being responsible drinking. So that's how many people we want to reach in terms of messages of moderation. You see, look, as a business, we know that we have a responsibility to ensure that as you interact with our products, you do so responsibly. So I think specifically talking about carbon, we have a goal to be net zero by 2030. And so we work backwards. So it's net zero by 2030, then we come in and what do we need to do internally to ensure that every year we are systematically doing the right thing and reducing our carbon to make sure that by come 2030, we are completely net zero. And this is not just in Kenya, it's across the 3 sites in East Africa. So we have Kenya breweries, we have Uganda breweries and Serengeti breweries. So the 3 of them make EABL, East African Breweries Limited, and then Diageo as a whole. So specifically, when we're talking about carbon, we, in our report, we facilitated a 20.6 reduction in scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. That's between 2020 and 2021. But I think, so scope 1 and 2 is direct, but the biggest opportunity for us is indirect carbon emissions, because we have a huge value chain. We have partners across every arm of the business. We have distributors, so logistics arm is huge. So it's not enough for us to reduce our carbon emissions directly. We're also trying to see how can we support, and this is where the partnership and our relationship with CAM, for example, is very important, our relationship with the UN Global Compact. It is how do we support our, for example, distributors, how can we support them to reduce their carbon emissions so that together as a business, because they are part of our business, they are also doing the right thing, and we're also addressing SDG 17, which is Partnership for Goals. So just very quickly, since I'm just talking about the distributors, one of the things we did last year was we mapped the carbon emission of all our distributors across the entire country. And the next phase of this work is to support them. So we mapped out the emissions, and we mapped out, for example, how many trees they need to plant to offset. So phase 2 of this program is to work with them through our partner Nature Kenya to see, can we get them, now we've identified how many trees they need to plant, can we support them to plant the trees so that they can offset their carbon emissions?
Okay, so putting their money where their mouth is in terms of saving the planet. We'll see how it plays out, of course, as that target is set. Ms. Amoit, I'll come to you. In terms of the initiatives put in place, what initiatives are you putting to promote climate change, adaptation, mitigation as well, even as we move forward with this talk of green energy and green growth?
Okay. So our mandate as KCV, first of all, is to invest in enterprises that are working in the climate space. And so so our core offering is capital, So we provide capital to these businesses, and our instruments are debt, equity, and convertible debt. And all our facilities are provided at lower than the market rate because, like I said, we're working with early stage companies, and we are looking to de-risk them so they can be able to attract additional capital. So we have quite a number of companies in the clean energy space. We have some examples, Offgen Limited, that are doing solar PV installations in Kenya, on a commercial and industrial use, sort of like what the PDP project is doing. So they provide that service. We have Rafode Limited, who are providing financial services that enable households and MSMEs to access clean energy products. We have Sunken Limited, who are distributing solar irrigation pumps across the country. Then in our waste management sectors, we have Vuma Biofuels, King's Biofuels, and Acacia Innovations, who are processing briquettes from biomass and distributing to industries and institutions, so thereby demonstrating that industries can actually transition from the traditional biomass or the less efficient biomass sources like firewood, and use briquettes which are more efficient. So our other core offering is our technical assistance. So when you're working with businesses that are starting up or that are in early stages, finance is not the only buyer. They also need some bit of hand-holding to build their strategic and operational capacities. So we, along with our financing, we provide our technical assistance and business development components, where we are able to support the companies to be able to strengthen their strategic and operational functions. And this is something that is separate from the financing, so it's financed purely by KCV on a co-financing basis from the companies. And then under Small Assistance, we also offer investment brokerage to support the companies link up with other investors, like Noel here, so that they can be able to scale. Yeah, because we understand that businesses are always going on a ladder, even when you talk about their financial needs. So for them to scale, they should be able to, be supported to be able to link up with investors who are able to meet their financial needs as they scale up that financial ladder. So KCV provides those linkages, supporting the companies in identifying partners, supporting them in preparing their financial models and things like that. And so we have seen our businesses being able to attract even more than 3 times the funding that they receive from KCV through our provision of such services. Then we also provide market linkages. So like supporting the companies that are in our cohort to be able to talk to one another to see how they can benefit from each other. So we have, for example, the companies that are processing or making briquettes, being able to supply companies that are processing or manufacturing. We have the companies that are providing clean energy, being linked to companies in the cohort that might need such services. We have companies that might have done an audit, which we also support them to do, needing now the services of another company in the portfolio that can actually support them to implement the recommendations of that report. Yeah, so our support is very tailored because we look at a business as it is and just support them to be able to scale and to reach that commercial potential or scale that they should, and not just looking at capital only, but all the aspects of the business and working with the business in that journey. Yeah.
Okay, we'll be taking our parting shots in just a bit because we're a bit pressed on time. But Noel, I'll come to you on your question in terms of what's the key focus as far as the bank is concerned in supporting uptake of green energy? How's the bank championing that particular aspect?
The bank is looking at various means based on our experience. One of the things that we are looking at is how to de-risk some of these projects, because most of the industries or partners who come to us, you find that they're already running businesses, they're already borrowing in other banks, and one of the key things has been security, is that borrowing. In that aspect, we have partnered with Africa Guarantee Fund, who offers 75% guarantee coverage to any person who comes to the bank to borrow in terms of green energy. The other aspect that has come in terms of securitization has always been, where does this asset sit? Can we give 100% financing without affecting the client in terms of asking him to give significant upfront contribution? Because any energy investment, especially green, has a lot of impact in company income. So through our subsidiary, CoBank Fleet Africa, we also offer what is called a buy and lease back. Basically, the bank buys the solar equipment on your behalf, it is installed, and then you pay us what is called a rental schedule. After some time, the asset reverts back to you as a company wholly. The third thing, and I'm glad the gentleman from GIZ came here, is that we are partnering with other organizations in order to provide that technical assistance to your project before you start, so that you're able to analyze and see, does this project even make sense? Is it a cost saving to myself? There are also other technical aspects that people don't take into consideration. Has your supplier given you a warranty that if the equipment you install fails, then what happens after that? There are also other aspects that if you want to put solar or whatever equipment on your roof, can you even hold that equipment in the first place? So we have all these intricacies that are happening before you launch a project that the bank is also working with other partners in order to ease the access to you. The fourth thing is that we are in touch with the various development finance institutions, pension schemes, private equity funds, in order to give our end users money for a longer time. You saw these investments take anywhere between 6 to 15 years. And at the same time, in order to ensure that you are able to access finance at a cheaper rate. And in that respect, we're in discussions with companies like Garantco, we're in discussion with companies like Propaco and AFD in order to give these long-term benefits and other financial benefits to the end users who are our clients.
Okay, I'll have to bring this particular panel session to a close. The conversation will continue, though, even as they get off stage. But before that, quick round of parting shots from each of you as we bring this discussion to a close. Arnolda, I'll start with you. What's your parting shot this morning?
I think parting shot for me is to thank CAM, especially for the technical assistance they've given to us as Kenya Breweries. I think we've had a couple of our engineers have gone through the training. We have certified auditors internally. And what that does for us is it makes sure that as we run a STEM program, making sure that we are also looking at the future and getting women into the program trained by our internal team. So it just that continuity and the sustainability of the technical expertise is carried on, which is amazing. So as always, Cam, thank you very much for that particular partnership.
Okay, Ms. Amoit, your parting shot today?
Yeah, so my parting shot, I think, is to also, just thank the CAM for organizing this event. I think it comes also at a very good time, just at the back of COP26, when we are talking about, the kind of initiatives that we need to pursue for sustainability and resilience, especially in the climate space. I think it's also to challenge each and every one of us in this room that there's, plenty of opportunities in this space, and especially for the private sector. There's a lot of interest in scaling the investments in clean energy to marginalized and humanitarian settings. There's a big shift now towards, industries using clean energy along with the main power or as a backup. There are many industries that are maybe out of the grid or like in marginalized areas, and they all need to access power. And so there's a lot of opportunities, I would say. And also, I think last week, the government actually launched a program to register 16 million MSMEs in Kenya. And I think this is an opportunity even for people working in this space to actually identify, MSMEs that can benefit from either a partnership or services or products that are being provided, because I think sometimes there can be the tendency to focus on just the big guys, but if you look at 16 million MSMEs, if you were to provide all these MSMEs with the, clean energy so they can light up their shops for longer during the day, so they can, be able to increase their incomes, they can be able to scale their businesses, then the impact is really, that much bigger. So it's just a challenge for us to, take the baton, take the advantage of the opportunities that are in the market, and I think even by next year we'll be, seeing some, telling some different stories of growth in what we are doing in this space. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Ms. Amoit. Noel, your parting shot today.
For me, is just to encourage everyone here that in the last 10 years, the lessons that have been learned from the local institutions and the support that is there currently for green energy financing. There's no institution out there, company, hotel, whoever is using energy, who should not take advantage, especially of the global agenda and the local financing are available right now to help you meet your energy needs. In case there is any need, the bank is always open, and a bigger part of this forms in the part of like the COP conference, global conference. There was also the feedback that there's all this money out there that is out there to actually support you. There's the technical bit, there's the money aspect, and it is time actually, and there's this window of opportunity that we have and the capability that we have to push this agenda to the next level, sustainable financing. The other thing is that through collaborations and through other partnerships, the ability and way to scale green energy financing has to be done locally. It can't be done through grants throughout. It can't be done through foreign investments. By working closely with local financial institutions, we are able to actually engineer and come up with products that are suitable and are able to address the unique challenges that companies and institutions in Kenya face, and we're able to mold and come up with financial products that we are able to finance long-term and sustainably.
Thank you so much for that. A round of applause for our panel this morning. Arnold Shiundu, EABL, many thanks for your time. Noel Amoit, Kenya Climate Ventures, many thanks for your time. Noel Kode, many thanks for your time being here as well. Call Bank, many thanks. You can have your seats. And for those in the room who probably are looking for some money for their venture as far as green growth, green financing is concerned, I think the only thing better than one Noel with your money is two Noels with your money, and they're here for that as well. So please get to network and get to unlock that finance for you as far as that's concerned. At this point in time, I'd like to call on stage Mr. Sylvester Makaka, Senior Energy Advisor at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Is he in? He can come and give us our closing remarks. And Rose have said, okay, fine, we need to have some questions in as far as this is concerned. So we'll go around the room with some questions, probably for my panel, on something that they said or a comment as well. We have a microphone that will go around at this particular point in time for that. There's a lady at the back in a white t-shirt with a microphone right there. Any questions, any comments, from any reactions as well from what we've heard? Right at the front, is it? All right, right down that side. Right at the extreme end, you can say your name, probably where you're from, and your question or comment.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon again.
Afternoon, go right ahead.
Okay, yeah, my name is Francis Owino. I am here representing my company, CEO Reef Limited. Mine is more or less of a concern, because if you look at the biographics of carbon, effects of carbon within the environment, it's really not friendly, because I believe a lot more needs to be done in terms of seeing the aspect of emission. Look at